stream. Apparently doing episodic content is something that I just don't have a lot of time and energy for nowadays, but streaming seems to be something that I'm capable of, so let's just do it this way. I need to get some work done on Thrall, so let's do a live stream of that. I am going to just adjust the volume on the background music here, but I'm going to keep going because it's a little bit more interesting that way. So let me just work on that. Let's see, we'll turn this down until it's not deafening. I don't know, how's that? Maybe that's too quiet. Okay, well, we'll go with it and see how it goes. Oh, I also just want to listen to music while I do it, but also if I'm streaming, I have to make sure that it's something that's not going to get me demonetized, so... Not that I'm monetized anyway, but I don't want a copyright strike taken down the channel for no reason, so Lakey inspired it is. Okay, let's jump into this. I do not have much set up yet, but I've got Thrall open, I've got GIMP open, and that's where I'm going to be doing most of my work today. Just because I want to work on some maps. I want to see... Give me 1 second here. Let me just make sure everything's good. 1 sec. Okay, I think... Give me 1 more second here. I think I may still need to adjust the volume just a tiny bit here. You know, let's just do it this way. Boom, done. Hopefully that's good enough. Okay. Am I back? Yes. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'm mostly just going to be working on some maps today. I'm working on a dungeon that kind of takes place in a... manner of a vampire, and I want to see if I can get some of that done. I also want to see if I can maybe add a few more items, and you know what, I'll actually kind of show a little bit of what I've been working on. I do have a beverage beside me. It may be green tea, it may be whiskey, it may be both. Who's to say? So there is one system that I've been working on lately that I would like to put a little bit more effort into as well, which is the shard system, and I don't know, I think I uploaded a video about this recently. Maybe not. Maybe not. That might have been, no, I think I uploaded a video in regards to the skill trees. But I don't think I did anything for the shards, so I'll just kind of do a little bit to showcase that, because I do want to spend a bit of time on that today, and I think that that would be good to work on here. I might as well go full screen when I'm test playing, otherwise you're probably not going to be able to see anything. I said I might as well go full screen. Come on now. There we go. Alright. Oh, why is it stretched? Oh, that's annoying. Okay, well, we'll figure this out. Oh, and now it's frozen. There we go. Okay. Oh, this is terrible. That's okay. I don't know why my old computer didn't auto-scale the resolution, but this one does. That's okay. I don't think this has actually fixed anything, though. No, this hasn't done anything. Let me fix this again. Okay. Hold on. I haven't done a game dev stream in a long time, so I'm still kind of figuring this out. Come on now, come on. There we go, there we go. Okay, we'll do it this way. Instead of trying to... There. That's better. Okay, so there is a system that I've been working on lately that has to do with some of the shards that you can get as optional reward items. I'm on the wrong file to showcase this. So the pain board that lets you implement optional difficulty settings. The reward you can get for this if you clear a dungeon and beat a boss is a shard that you can use to augment a weapon or a piece of armor if you have the pain settings turned up high enough. And if you do get a shard, you can take those to this guy here, Jafar, and he will manage them for you, where you can insert them or extract them from your weapons and armors if the game doesn't freeze. I'm having some computer trouble lately, I don't know why. Granted, I haven't really booted up this system in a long time. Yeah, this just completely froze. That's cool. This is some great game dev stream. Yeah, it completely froze. Lovely. Well, this is a great demonstration. Anyway, there's these shards that you can insert and extract into weapons. I have also added a system where you can sometimes get legendary shards, though. They have a small chance of dropping. There we go. Really? Come on now. But those legendary shards have pretty unique effects. So the orange shard here, just colored shards, give stat boosts to your weapons and armors. So for example, these you can attach to any weapon to increase its damage by 1. The level and potency of the shard is determined by how many pains you have and the level of the boss that you defeat. But if I put this shard into this offensive rock here, you can kind of see the damage right now is 101, and if I insert it, that jumps up to 102. This little orange icon appears next to it, and you can take that out for 100 gold, and you can apply it to a different weapon instead. So that's a way that you can augment weapons using the colored shards, but you can use legendary shards as well. Okay, it looks like we're running smoothly now, at least. And I'll just show you through a debug chest that I have set up here. We have legendary shards, and these are what I want to see if I can work on a little bit today as well. So I've got basically legendary shards that they don't provide stat boosts, they're not level based, but instead they provide unique effects based on the type of shard you get. And I want to have a total of 15 by the time they're all included in the game. So just a little bit of a demonstration for those. For example, the Scholar Shard, you can set any weapon that it's attached to, you can set its level to 1. So for example, this offensive rock, it's level 14. This could only be equipped by a character who's level 14 or above. But if I insert the Scholar Shard into the rock, that gets set to level 1. And now I could transfer this over using the locker here that lets you transfer equipment between save files. And then I could use that on a level 1 character. Same with... if I extract it, it resets its level back to 14. There's a couple other ones. We've got the Elite Shard. It deals more damage to elite enemies. And the Proficiency Shard. This one's kind of fun. It gives any weapon that it's attached every weapon type. So for example, Damien here, he's got some skills that benefit his use with knives. Can we please load? That would be great, thanks. That would be lovely. Can we do this? Can we do this? Oh, there we go. Okay, now it's working. So Damien's got abilities that give him bonuses with knives. So he gets damage with knives, he gets weak status with knives, things like that. If I put this proficiency shard into something like this axe, now that axe will be treated both as an axe and as a knife. And it will still give him those damage bonuses. He'll still keep that weak status, even though the axe itself doesn't have that element. So there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with those legendary shards, but I only have, I think, 8 right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I only have 7 right now, and I want to have a total of 15 by the time all's said and done. So I have the templates laid out for them, I just don't have their effects coded in, and I don't have names for them yet. So I'm probably going to do a little bit of work on that today, but not yet. Instead, I'm going to do the thing I've been procrastinating on for way too long, which is I'm going to do some work on maps. So, let's go to the estate. Oh gosh, it's been so long since I've worked on this that I actually forget where I'm at now. It looks like I've figured the first of every configuration. Completed the first of every configuration, but I have more to do. Yeah. Yeah, this looks right. Okay. Right, okay, so let's start with room A. We will need... so every configuration has a different layout, and by layout it basically just means which direction you can exit out of that map. So, how that's going to work with this, we're going to take our estate template, this one here. I gotta actually get used to this again because it's been a while since I've done this myself. Okay, we're not working on a hallway, we're working on a room, so we are gonna use our default template for room A. So as you can see, room A has an exit in all 4 sides. Room B has an exit only on the left, right, and bottom, but not at the top. That's the kind of thing I'm working on. So let's go with room A, and right off the bat, here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna save this as estate A2. I gotta be careful not to press the wrong key, because I do have some hotkeys set up on my numpad, but I don't think I need to worry about that today. I'm not doing any coding, so, well, maybe I will, but not right now. Okay, so we're working on estate A2, and we only need 2 rooms with an A configuration, and the reason for that is because of how this game generates rooms in a dungeon. It basically creates a 4x3 grid of rooms, so we've got 1 here, 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 and then 3 rows of 4 rooms, basically. And the only way that a room can generate is if it can connect to another room properly. Well, the only way you can have a room generate with an exit on all 4 sides is if it generates in one of the 2 rooms in the dead center. You can't have it on any of the edges because the remaining exits would lead to nothing. So the only way that these rooms can generate is if they're in the center. And because of that, you could technically, theoretically, have as many of 2 of them as 2 of them generate in one dungeon, but you'll never have more than that. So I do need 2. Certain other rooms, like, say, B, C, D, and E, that have 1 exit blocked off, you still only need 2 of those, even though, in theory, you could technically have more spots that those generate in. You could have up to 4 different locations that... Let's take B for an example. Configuration B could generate in 4 different spots in a dungeon. It could generate in the top 2 center rooms or the middle 2 center rooms, but it can't generate on the bottom, obviously, because the bottom exit would lead to nothing, and it can't generate on either the left or right edges. But there's only 4 rooms that it can generate in. But I still only need to make 2 rooms with the B configuration. The reason why is because while there's 4 spots that it could generate, you can never have more than 2 B configuration rooms at a time. And the reason for that is because let's say you had them generate in the top 2 middle rooms. Well, they have an exit pointing down. The only other locations that they could generate is the middle 2 rooms. But for that to happen, these would need to have an exit pointing up. And basically same goes for any configuration of that. You can basically have them in one of the top or middle rooms on the left and one of the top middle rooms on the right, but you can't have 2 in a single column. So you only need to do 2 for that. It gets a bit more complicated once you get to like configurations like G. G's a little bit more permissible. So for example, G, we've got an exit out to the left and right, but not at the top and bottom. Well, you could have this generate in 6 different locations, and they could all generate, all 6 of them, in one map. You could have all the edges connected by corners and like C and D configure, or C and E configurations. But you could have the entire center pass be just straight shots through with G configuration rooms. So I need to have 6 of those. I'm doing a lot more explaining of this than I need to, but yeah, basically all I'm gonna do is let's work on A configuration. See, this is part of why I haven't actually done a lot of work on this game, is because it gets to be really, really tedious. I'm basically just making dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of these rooms, which should be interesting and exciting because it's still creative, it's still fun, I'm still making progress, but it does get tedious. But, okay, let's jump into it. Okay, so first things first, what do we want this room to be? These are all the room types that I kind of have set aside, and the thing is, they don't have to fall into any sort of sensible pattern. There's already an in-game lore explanation as to why these rooms might be shuffled around, so you could have a bedroom next to a kitchen, next to a hallway, next to a study, next to a library. Like, there doesn't need to be a cohesion between what rooms go where. So, basically, I can turn this into anything I want, and the numbers next to each of these categories indicate how many I've already completed for each. So I don't have a throne room yet, I don't have a chapel yet, but I think I want to save those for L. Nope. N. I want to save those, the throne room and the chapel, for N configuration rooms, because I feel like an exit pointing straight down and just leading right into a room that's a dead end, that would be a great place to do a chapel or a throne room or something like that. Especially if I have like an altar at the front, I don't want there to be an exit here. I'd want there to just be the statue or the throne facing out into the room, and I feel like it would make more sense to approach from the bottom as opposed to approaching in from the sides. Now, fortunately, for N configurations, I can have up to 4, and I only have 1 so far, so I can still do a throne room and maybe 2 chapels, or 2 throne rooms and a chapel for that later. But other than that, let's see, we're A configuration is basically a crossroads. It's an open crossroads. It's not like it's a, you know, it's not like our hallways, where it's like that. It is a open space, but what would we want to do with this? I've got a couple sitting rooms already. We could make this a storage room, or bedroom doesn't really make a lot of sense. For a crossroads, you want bedrooms to be more isolated. You want them to be rooms that have less accessibility to them. Maybe only 1 exit. Could maybe do a study. You know what, let's just do storage. Keep it simple for now, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so let's start with trying to get my bearings here, trying to figure out what the process is for doing this again. Well, let's open up our grid for a start here. Okay, first things first. That's the shadow for rooms, that's the shadow for hallways, that's my light map layer, and that's my collision layer. Okay, good, yes. I do remember how this works. Okay, let's take a look what resources we've got. Right, okay. So we've got our light tile, we've got our statue. Okay, we have a category for storage here, resources, so let's start by bringing in some resources and tiles that we can use to kind of decorate the room. Then we'll look at maybe bringing in carpet or something like that. Maybe some light fixtures. And then we will dodge and burn the map. We will create our shadow layer, our light layer, adjust our collision, we'll bring it into the game, and then we'll test it. So let's start with some storage here. Let's see. You know, let's just start dragging things in at random. It doesn't really matter at this point. Actually, you know what? Let's start with the dodge and burn, because that's probably... Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to select the entire layer. We are going to shrink the selection by 16 pixels. Yes, I remember how this works. And then we're going to feather the selection by 16 pixels. Then we will switch to our dodge and burn tool, which I already have the settings established for. I'm going to disable grid collision so that I don't accidentally get like these weird straight lines. And I'm going to start by doing the burn, which basically just... I can't describe this very well. It adds just a little bit of texture to the map, but not along the edges, so we don't get these weird sharp edges where there's a transition to the map. That's why we shrunk and feathered the selection. So the edges of the map where it connects to other maps should be smooth, but the detailing in the actual map itself should have a little bit more texture. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dodge, and then I'm going to burn and then dodge. And we're going to do that twice. It probably didn't look like I did anything, but here's what I'm going to do. I'll disable the grid collision, and I will undo what I just did 4 times, and you can see the effect. So this is what it looks like right now. If I just undo what I just did, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the difference. This is the flat image, that's the textured image. So that's just what the dodge and burn does. It gives just a little bit more texture to the map, a little bit different of lighting and shading on different parts of the flooring and walls, so it doesn't look totally uniform. It doesn't look like a flat tile set kind of thing. So we'll start with that. Okay, now... Yes, now we can collapse that, and now let's start bringing in some storage things. So we'll drag that up into our decor file. I'm just kind of going to do this mostly at random. I will turn grid collision back on again. That is my clock going off in the background. If you can hear that, you probably can. It's absurdly loud. Okay. So I think for a storage room, we're just going to try to be as a little bit chaotic and random as we can, but we'll try to do this in a way that makes sense. Like, we're not going to have things overlapping in weird ways, but we're going to try to make it cluttered and kind of seem like a space where it's like, yeah, just stuff is kind of thrown everywhere because you just make room for it where you can. And I'll just do some fine-tuning on the adjustments to make sure that the collision makes sense. Now, the thing that I do have to watch out for as well is making sure that I'm paying attention to what my overall collision is actually going to end up looking like. Because if I have things overlapping too much on the grid outlines, we will be fairly limited in where we can place event tiles. And that'll make sense when I show you the actual implementation through testing here. So let's just kind of sneak some stuff through here. Take that a little bit away from the wall. Actually, let's put this basket on top of that box. That looks good. That's another basket. Let's bring in something else. Another barrel? Sure. Yeah. That's fine. Okay, cinch that up a bit. Okay, now let's see if we can find... Oh, perfect. A nice small barrel there. Let's tuck that in the corner between that crate and that barrel. Just like that. Now I can kind of see, like, okay, player should be able to move through these tiles here. Obviously, they're not going to be able to pass through here. This is impassable, but these are passable. That kind of stuff. Okay, we'll bring in a little bit more storage and we'll kind of spread it out into the corners, but we're not going to do too much more of the just general storage containers, and we'll start to add in some things like shelves, tables, stuff like that. Now that one I'm going to have to probably create an overlay for to make it so that you can pass behind that layer. That's okay. Ooh, what do I want to do with this? That looks good. You know what, that'll go well on a table, so I'm just going to set that aside for now. Oh yeah, nice, that'll do. Okay, let's bring this in. We'll put that right there. Yeah, and just touch that down a few pixels. There we go. And yeah, we can create an overlay where the player can pass behind there. You know, let's just use all of these. Okay. And we won't have any duplicates. You know what? Change my mind. We're not going to use that one. Okay. Well, that's almost it. Do I want to put this basket on that box in the corner? Sure. Let's put this one over here. There. Okay, that's good there. Let's bring in some shelving. Wait. Yes, shelving. Let's see here. Let's bring in one of these vertical tables. That'll do. So we're just going to take this, we're going to drag this down here. Now, how do we want to do this? I could cinch this down so that it looks like the player can kind of step in front of the table, but then it's going to look weird that they can't step down there. I could also just make that flush, but it kind of looks weird that the player can't step up. It's the fine details that make the difference, so I think a little bit of half and half there. Now let's grab that decor layer I set aside. There it is. I'm just going to bring this up a layer, and we'll set that on the table. Just kind of put that in the middle, like that. Now, that table kind of blends in with the flooring, so let's maybe put a carpet down underneath it. And let's see if I've got one that's pre-made. I do have a few. You don't need to go with a fancy carpet, though, for what is essentially just a storage room. And I'll put that under the table. I want to make sure that's centered in a way that makes sense so that it looks like the legs of the table are properly aligned to where... Yeah, there we go. That's good. Okay, and you know what? This is a complex enough layer that we can dodge and burn this one. We don't need to feather and shrink the selection though, because we're doing the entire thing. And we'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. A little bit more texture to that. That looks good. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Okay. We need some light fixtures in here. Ooh, that's a thought. Okay, tell you what, we'll bring in a standing torch, but we'll also bring in this resting one, and we'll put it on top of the table. And here's what we'll do. We'll actually move these things down closer to the edge, and then we'll just put this right up there. And maybe we'll actually switch those. Maybe I'll put the light down here in the corner, and then we'll move that up. Yeah, that looks good, I think. Yeah, I like that. Okay, and now for this standing fixture, I think let's put that over here, next to that entrance. That should be good. And honestly, I think this is good. I don't think we need to go too much further into detail with this. We could maybe do some... You know what, let's do some wall decor, though. What do we want to do with that? Let's maybe go... some banners? Do we have any banners that we could put up? We've got lots of artwork. Ooh, yeah, let's put up a banner or two. Okay, now this would go behind the decor layers. Yep, that works. And you know what, yeah, let's just do that. A banner on each side, just kind of tucked in behind the barrels like that. That looks good. I like it. And I think that's all we really need. I don't know, do we want to bring in a chair or a plant or something? I don't think we need to. This is a storage room. It's not like there's anything fancy or special about this room. We could bring in... nope, this'll do. This is also just we're just getting back into development right now, so I'm not going to go overboard with any of this stuff. I just need to make some progress, so that's what we're doing right now. So, with that in mind, a few more steps left to do. First off, let's bring in our light graphic. Now, this is not going to appear that opaque in the actual implementation, but what we're going to do is we're going to bring this over, and we're just going to center it over all our light fixtures. Yeah, that should be good like that. And now we'll merge that with our light layer there, and we'll actually extract that separately. I'm actually thinking maybe, because that light is technically behind that wall, maybe I should... Nope, that doesn't look right. There we go. Yeah, that'll look better in-game once that's actually implemented. Because also the player's head might pass through that in a way where it looks choppy. So yeah, we'll keep the full layer there. It's not going to interfere with anything. Now, that last thing we need to do is our shadow layer. So we're going to switch to our... Nope, that's the wrong command. Our eraser tool. There it is. Perfect. Okay. And we're just going to go over everything that emits light, and we're going to click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've already got my settings on my brush pre-saved. And same with down here, just center that, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And that's it. That's all we need to do for the layering. Now the last thing is the collision. Now this is where it gets to be a little bit complicated. This has to do a lot more with the specific systems in Thrall. So let's actually just jump into that. So, the way that collision detection works in this, because it's procedural generation, when this room gets loaded in, the tiles in the it's just an image file. That's all it is. So the game doesn't know that. The game doesn't know where things are supposed to go and where things aren't. So we have to tell it. So how do we tell the game where to put things? Well, that's what this little thing in the corner is for. This is our collision data. So what we're going to do, Gray means don't change the collision of the map. And by default, the map that we're working with is going to be filled with impassable tiles. Blue means change it to a passable tile where no events can spawn, so you don't get things that can block off things like hallways. Green is make it a passable tile where events can spawn. Red is make it a passable tile where treasure chests can spawn, and purple is make a passable tile where enemies and players can spawn. So we're going to do that by comparing it to what we have here. So I already have a basic template already set up, and all we have to do now is figure out what we changed. So we've got, from the top row, 2 impassable tiles on the left and right. So I'm going to copy that color. And now I think it would be good to put a chest beside one of these. I'm going to put it here. So for the chest, I'll take the red tile and put it there. And because I don't want anything spawning in front of the chest, we'll put a blue tile in front of it as well. Okay, what else? We've got... Oh, I also need to set up the overlay, but that's easy. We can do that too. Okay, the next row down we were missing 1 tile of passability on the left and right. So 1, 2. And then, let's see, we've got a full row that's fine, but we can't have events spawning here. Because anything where there's an overlay, we can't have events spawn. There are some codes in this game where it actually will erase the overlay. There's specific items. There's an item you can get called the Spectral Pepper that makes you, the character, ethereal, and you can walk through walls. But to do that, you have to erase the overlay. Otherwise, it looks like you're clipping in and out of the walls. It want it to look smooth, so it just erases the overlay. But because of that, events don't get erased. So if an event is supposed to appear behind something because of the overlay, then I can't have that event spawn there. Otherwise, it's going to appear on top of it. For example, if I have the exit to the dungeon appear here, well, with the overlay in place, that'll be fine. It'll appear behind the torch. But if I erase the overlay by using the Spectral Pepper, then it'll appear like it's on top of the torch, and the torch is kind of clipping into the exit. That's not going to work. So this row is fine for passability, but that tile on the far end, we need to mark to make sure that no events can spawn there. So we'll just do that by making it blue. And I'm lagging again. Lovely. Okay, the next one down is just 1 gray tile there. That's fine. And then the next row down, there's no change. Okay. Alright, now we've got a full row of no change. Yeah, full row, no change, and then 1 set in from that we'll have this 2-high table. So, a full row of no change, and then 1 tile in, we've got this 2-high table. Now, I'm also noticing on this side, we've got something where there's an overlay, and it's an overlay followed by 2 impassable tiles, and directly beside it, and 1 down, an overlay and an impassable tile. So it should be overlay, overlay. Ooh, hold on, this doesn't look right. What did I do wrong here? Oh, okay, I went 1 too far down. That's what I did wrong. There we go. So that's overlay, overlay, impassable, 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 and then the bottom row should be unchanged. Yeah, the bottom row is just impassable, non-spawnable. Yes, that looks correct. Now the last thing we need is a spot to spawn in monsters and enemies and players. So we'll just put that in the dead center, and anything that spawns in will basically spawn right here. And as a matter of fact, I might just push that up 1 tile. Yeah, well, let's do that. Let's push that up 1 tile. Here we go. Okay, that is our collision data for this map. So the last thing we need to do is set up the overlay. And for that to work, basically all I need is this graphic, this pot, these, like, grain bags, and I think that's it. There's no overlay here. Nope. Yeah, and then just the actual base layer as well for the overall building. So we'll start with this here. And oh, it's gonna lag. Okay, we'll make this work. There it is, okay. cut, paste. I'm going to take that and put it into this layer group. Okay, now we'll just kind of cycle through. Okay, I need this one. We're going to cut this one. Ooh, I just realized that's going to displace it because GIMP is weird and it doesn't like when I select outside of the boundaries of the layer. If I cut and paste that like that, that should work. Yep. Move that up. There we go. And the last one here. I'm going to select just that. Make sure that we're selecting in the boundaries of the layer. Cut and paste. Drag it up into the overlay. And now the last thing I need is in this room, any tile that could be an overlay. So it's going to be this corner, make sure I get the right coordinates, there we go, and those sections there, and that should be it. So we're just going to copy that, we're not going to cut it, paste it, and drag that in, and now that's our overlay. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, alright, we're good. And that's it for the actual editing of this map. Okay, so now we just gotta extract it. So, let me just check. Did I accidentally? Nope, didn't. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, so first let's extract the base layer with the collision. And we will extract this as AA2. Now, the name actually does matter. So, the first letter indicates the... So the first letter indicates the configuration of the variant of the configuration. That's something that's a little bit more complicated that I can probably get into in a later stream, because I'm not working on that right now. The second letter indicates the configuration of the room itself, where the exits are, and then the third digit indicates basically what iteration we're on. This is the second room of this configuration. And we already have an AA1, so we will extract this as AA2. And now let's just open up in Thrall. We'll go to Graphics, Rooms, Estate, Ground, A. And I already have it set here as a placeholder, so we can now replace AA2 here. So let's go down to what we just extracted. We're going to drag that over. Replace. Perfect. Okay, and now that's our room replaced. Next, we will go to Overlay. We're going to get rid of the base layer, just keep the overlay. We want to make sure that we keep the overlay with the base layer so that when we delete the overlay, it still is displaying that. It's just now below the player. And AA2, we're going to bring into the overlay, into folder A, replace it. There we go, that's there. Now for the light layer, same kind of deal. We're going to hide the overlay. We can actually hide our collision. It doesn't matter. It doesn't render in no matter what we do. We'll bring up the light layer. It's still going to be called AA2. They're all referenced by the same code. It's just they're sourced from different folders. So AA2 is now going to go into light folder A. And in the shadow folder, last thing here, bring up the shadow that we created. Once again, AA2. Export. Bring it over into A. And there we go. And the game does the rest. We don't need to worry about anything else. The code that I've written for the game will actually make it so that it properly implements everything just from the file names alone. So just to make this look pretty, I will set the opacity to 50 for the light and the shadow. And that's kind of like what it's going to look like in game, but not quite. There's going to be better blending on the light and it'll look a little bit smoother. And we'll save that. And there we go. Okay, that's our first room done for the day. So let's actually go ahead and test that. I cannot stream for very long, but I wanted to get some stuff done. Okay, so, first let me just increase the window size. Okay, now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set a variable on the estate so that we can skip the intro. There we go. And now we're going to leave the Hall Keeper, going to go to the Demeco estate. There it is. And it should just warp us right into the estate. Shouldn't have to go through the intro sequence. Yes, good. Okay, we're in. And yeah, as you can see, the lighting is a lot softer, but still noticeable. Yeah, this is good. So, what we want to do is we want to see if we can get one of our A configurations to generate in these central 2 rooms. Now, there is a way to force it. I just can't remember exactly. Ah, okay, maybe this is it. Yes, debug room, we're going to set this to 1. 1 being the first letter in the alphabet, which is A, which means that only A configuration rooms should generate now, in theory. Yep. But there was a problem, which is that I am removing duplicate rooms, which I'm supposed to not do. No, yeah, I'm not testing specific variants. I do need to remove the line of code that removes duplicate rooms so that we can see. Yeah, basically the game doesn't allow the same room to generate twice in a single map. That's why I need this many configurations of each individual room. Otherwise the game will crash if it attempts to load one that it has already generated on that dungeon. That way you don't have the same room twice on a single floor. But that should fix it just by commenting on that one line of code. So now let's, again, crank that variable up a bit. And I'm going to set debug room to 1 right away now. And it should still only generate A rooms, but it will generate duplicates. But we should be able to see the one that we just worked on. Oh, I scratched myself. What? How did I do that? Okay, cool. Here we go. Yes, perfect. Okay, so this is our first A configuration room that we already did previously. This is just kind of like our sitting room one, and as you can see, we got the exit here. We are looking for the one that we just added, and there's one right there. Perfect. Yeah. So we got our barrels here. We've got all the storage in the corners here. We've got our table here where the lighting seems to be good. Now, I can test the collision by actually just testing everywhere that I'm supposed to be able to walk and not. It does look like the overlay's loaded in properly, so that's good. But there's a better way to test it as well, which is I'm going to actually turn on a debug mode, and we're going to reload the next floor, and we should be able to actually see, there it is, a visual representation of our collision. So, let's... oh, dang it. Okay, we'll just rip through these enemies real quick, and then we'll get back to testing the rest. Let's see. Fire burst on you. Oh, these guys have shielding. They're immune to their first hit. That's okay. There we go. Okay, we're good. Okay, let's see if we can find the room we just added. There's one there. There's an enemy in there, so let's just kind of avoid that for now. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, so, yeah, as we can see, the blue tiles are passable and non-spawnable. Those seem to be all in the correct spots. Yep, our tiles that are supposed to have collision. We've got our spawn point set, and we've got a spot for our chests to generate in. Yeah, that one looks good. Okay. I'm just gonna reload this one last time without the debug mode on, and then I'm just gonna kind of take a look at how it appears visually, not just how it loaded in. Yeah, no, that looks good. I like it. It's simple, it's not overly complex, but that's kind of the point. It's just a storage room crossroads. That'll do. Okay, good. Well, let's do another one. Okay, so that is A configuration number 2 done, which means that all our A configurations are done, and we can actually check that off. Let's do a B configuration. So, same process, but slightly different. We're going to load up the estate file, the template. Oh, my throat is burning right now. Okay, here's our template. We are working in rooms, so I'm actually just going to save that with our template just to make sure that I am already working this folder. And let's bring up our B configuration. Okay, and let's just work with this. So let's start with the dodge and burn. Select the layer, shrink it, feather it, select our dodge tool, disable our grid collision so we don't get those awkward straight lines, and once again, oh come on now, what do you mean the selected layer isn't visible? That's because I'm not selecting the right layer. That's fine. Burn that, dodge, burn one more time, and dodge one more time. And there we go, that gives us a bit more texture, and as you can see, flat image, textured image, just a little bit better, a little bit more visually appealing. Okay, what do we want to turn this room into? Now, we're closed off on the top here, so we have a little bit more flexibility as to what we can make this room. Also, it's worth mentioning that we have now 2 storage rooms, so I'm just going to make a note of that. We can maybe turn this into an armory. Again, there doesn't really need to be any cohesion between what rooms are where within this manner, because they are going to be randomly generated, but that makes sense in the context of the game. Ooh, so we can really have anything we want. We could do a forge, we could do a kitchen, we could do a study or a library. Actually, a study could be good. Again, chapel, I think I want to save for the end configuration, but B configuration, we could do something like a study. I think that would be good. And actually, let's maybe make it like a library study mix. So let's go into our, what did I do? There we go. Let's go into our resources here, and we are going to need some bookshelves, which I believe is under our shelving. There, perfect, yep. Let's bring that in right away. And let's actually have these decorate kind of the front wall a little bit excessively. Maybe not too excessively, just one on each side, that's good. But let's also take a look, okay, what else do I have for shelving? I'm pretty sure I have a tile here for like a desk with a quill and all that stuff. There we go, that looks good. We could maybe use that. Yeah, and there's a few extras facing other directions, so we can have maybe a couple different kind of studying areas here. But let's bring that one in first. That'll kind of be the centerpiece of this room. So let's bring that in. And let's actually just position it. Ooh, now do we want to align it with the tiles directly and maybe put something next to it like a chest spawn point? Or do we want to center it, just make that whole area impassable, and then maybe have a different spawn point for the chest? Centering it, I think, is more visually appealing, but I don't know if it makes as much sense. I think I'm going to set it aligned with the grid. It looks a little off, but it'll make more sense if a chest does spawn in this room. We can set the spawn point for the chest right there, and then when it spawns in, it'll kind of make sense as to, oh yeah, that makes sense why that's shoved up against the bookshelf. And if it's not, it's like, well, it's a little odd, but okay, whatever. I'm honestly doubtful that most players will even pay that much attention to the finer details of this one particular room, if it happens to generate for them, and it might not. So, with that in mind, okay, that's our first one there. I saw a few more. Let's bring those ones in too. Yeah, that's one. I'm just going to set it outside of the... Yeah, and that's the other one. Okay, let's bring that up too. So we've got these nice little shelves. Shelves, desks, whatever you want to call them. Lecterns. How do we want to... That feels weird. I feel like the collision on that would be weird, because you should theoretically be able to walk behind this, but that's cramped. And you should also theoretically be able to walk in front of this, but that's precarious. So I think just cinching that down a bit. Now you can walk behind that, it's not as cramped, but you cannot walk in front of it. Yeah. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Now, I want to make sure I get the right distancing on this. So, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No. 6? I think 6 is good. And we'll do that for the same as this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that looks good, I think. Okay, I need to pour myself some tea because my throat is killing me. And I have to teach a class tomorrow, so I want to make sure I have my voice. Okay. Okay, alright. Now, this being a study, we're gonna need quite a bit of lighting, so let's bring that in first. Where is our lighting? There it is. Let's bring in some torches that can rest on the floor. See, I could put that there. That doesn't really make sense though. Now this, okay, these shelves do have little kind of candles, so we maybe don't need to be too focused on that, but we'll definitely put some. Let's put actually one of these in each corner. Just like that. And I'm just gonna bump them up a bit. Yep, that looks good. Okay. Carpets. Oh, let's do that right away now. This being a study, we could probably go with something a little more luxurious than what we did in the storage room. But not over the top, so let's bring this one in here. Let's expand this one a bit, though. So here's what we'll do. We'll take that. Oh, hold on a sec. What have I done? What have I done? Okay, cut that, paste it. Let's move it down, and we'll have that, yeah, extend the length of the entire floor. I'll just copy the central section. Merge that together. Good. Let's select that layer and once again disable grid collision. Dodge and burn. Give it a little bit more texture. Make it look like it's been walked on. There we go. That looks good. Okay. Now already we actually are looking pretty good. We don't need a whole lot more detail, but I don't want to just end it there. So let's maybe fill the space down here a little bit. Let's maybe get some seating or tables. And actually, I think seating might be a good way to go. There's some like nice comfy couches we can bring in here. Yeah. Let's bring in one of these. We can bring down here. Oh, I gotta re-enable grid collision. I think that is good. Yeah, that's nice. And then let's maybe bring in a table on the far side and put some extra books and stuff. Just kind of scattered across it. Ooh, we could also do... No, that's more of like a dining area set. Let's see. I could do more shelving as well. That might be actually more sensible. Or I could do both. You know what, let's do that. We'll bring in a side-facing shelf. We don't have to know what's on there. It could be books, it could be fancy china, you don't know. I'll just bring that in right there, and we'll have that be an overlay there. But I don't want to just leave it at that, so instead what we're going to do with that, I'm going to bring in, I saw a tiny little round table here. You know what that would be perfect for? There, perfect. Let's bring this in. Let's put it right next to the shelf. It's kind of going to be in front of this torch, and I'm actually going to move these torches back down because they don't need to be filling the space as much anymore. And now you know what that little table is going to be perfect for? Plants. I think I've got a little flower I can maybe put on there. Ooh, that's a nice one, but let's maybe go with something a little... Oh, that's a nice one. Let's go with that. There we go. Nice nice little potted plant there. Now the red is not really going to pop very well though with this room because there's a lot of brown and red tones in here, so let's actually just make a quick adjustment to that. Nothing fancy, but I'm going to take the red tones of that and I'm going to shift it to something like a nice palish blue, sort of like an orchid type color. There we go. That's nice. That looks good over there. Yeah, just a little pop of color in the corner. Okay, good. We can just merge that down to that layer, make that a permanent fixture. Okay, and I think that room is looking good. I don't think we really need to do too much more with this. Why have I not been working on this game more? This does not take long to do. These rooms take like 10 minutes to do at the most if I'm actually focused, but for some reason I have taken almost a year to work on this one dungeon. It's just because I haven't been prioritizing it. But that's kind of what these streams are for. I want to get more work done, and the best way for me to do that is to be accountable to somebody. So these live streams are a way for me to do that. Okay, before I add in the light layers, let's just set up our overlay. So, first thing, I actually don't need the bottom layer for this because it's never going to be visible. So I'm actually just going to do that right now. I'll just delete that bottom layer on both of those torches. Now for our decor, there's actually very little that needs an overlay. We need an overlay on these two pieces and this bookshelf. But we're not going to be able to step in front of this bookshelf, so we don't need it on the plant. And we're not going to be able to step behind the couch here. That tile there will be impassable. So let's go over here. Now we'll start with this one. Now it's a fairly narrow but tall shelf. Like that amount of space that's being taken up is really only one tile. So in theory, you should be able to step behind that shelf as early as here. So I think we'll actually take that entire top 2/3 and make that part of the overlay. Yeah. Yeah, and then both those tiles will be passable. Now both of these basically are in the same height, but again I cannot, because GIMP is dumb, exceed the boundaries of the layer. Otherwise it displaces it when I cut and paste. Where is it? There it is. Take that, cut, paste, bring this up. Those look good. Okay, I like it. Alright, we've got our overlay in place. No, we don't. I still need to do one more thing here. Let's take this here. We need this corner. And we need both those corners. And we need both of these walls here, minus the center. Copy that and paste, and bring that into the overlay. And now, there we go. There's our overlay. Okay, now we need to do our collision, so one more time. So again, with our collision up in this corner here, blue indicates passable, non-spawnable. Now our template's a little bit off because that's configured to an A configuration room. So we're going to block off the top exit. And now that should match our empty room. So now we just got to figure out what we filled in. So for the top part of the room, it's entirely impassable except for this one tile. But that tile, 3 in, is going to be where our chest spawns in. So we will make that entire row impassable, except for 1, 2, the third tile in. That's where our chest spawn point in is, and because we don't want anything spawning in front of the chest and blocking access, we'll make it, the tile in front, passable and non-spawnable. From there, yeah, okay, the next row down is completely open, except that the 2 on the end are non-spawnable. Good. The next tile, actually the next 2 rows, it's just blocking off the tile on the end for passability with the shelves. 1, 2, 1, 2, just like that. And now down here, okay, the center row shouldn't have anything changed because this is already passable and non-spawnable for being in front of the hallway. The next row down, though, is impassable on the impassable on the one side, passable but non-spawnable on the other. So, Nope, wrong way. Yeah, there we go. Directly below the hallway. Impassable there. Passable, non-spawnable there. Next row down is impassable on either side. And I believe, actually... Yeah, for the rest of this room, it's impassable and non-spawn. Yeah, impassable for the rest of the 3 tiles on either side. Because we've got the couch, and then the torch. And then we've got the shelf, the table, the torch. Yeah, and then the rest should be good. Okay, that's our collision. That's good. Game will read that and convert the tiles as needed. Okay, what's next? Lighting. Let's bring in our light resource. Now we're going to place this over these torches, just like that. Now, it's one thing to have that appear in front, like around a corner. It's another thing to have it appear on the roof. That will be noticeable, so I am going to trim that a bit. But, you know what, I'm also going to do this. I'm going to scale these down. I'm going to scale them down a lot. I'm going to scale them down to like 8 pixels. Maybe 16. Oh, what did I do? What have I done? Yep, I forgot I still have my hotkeys set for... I shouldn't be using my D-pad. My hotkeys set for my Strack Red Hades streams. Okay, and we're going to set the candles here with a little bit of light. There we go, and that'll look like those candles are lit. Doesn't look very good right now, but that's because it's in the editor, but once it renders in the game, it will render with smarter lighting than what I can do in GIMP. So I'm just going to do this. There we go. And yeah, that does look cleaner that way. Because if that light was spilling over the edge of the roof, it would look really, really weird. Trust me on that, I tried it both ways in the first couple maps and it just didn't look good. This is the better way. Okay, that's our light map. Now our shadow map, same thing. We need our eraser tool. The large lights, we can erase everything. But I'm going to reduce the size on this. So it was 96. I need about a quarter of that, which would be 24, right? Yeah, so 24, and we're going to bring that down to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, good. Now let's just reset that to 96 so we don't, oh, I gotta be careful to stop using my hotkeys on the D-pad there. D-pad, numpad, jeez. I think that's all we need to worry about. Okay, we're good. So that's our shadow and light layers. Okay, I think we're good now, so we can export this into the game and see how it looks. So we've got our overlay showing, we've got the base layer showing, we've got our collision showing, so we're good there. I have not saved this as our configuration, so this is B2. Okay, now we're going to export this as, now, this is where I need to remind myself. Ground, we're going to layer B, so it's variant A, configuration B, type 2. So we're going to go A, B, 2. Export that. Okay, back to our folders here. We'll take this here. We are on the ground layer. Yep. Bring this over. Replace the placeholder one. And into the overlay. We're going to hide the base layer, hide the collision. AB2. Export that. Bring it over again into folder B. AB2, good. Let's do the light layer next. I maybe need to get a longer playlist, because this is already looped a couple of times and it's starting to grate on me a bit. It's more entertaining than the sound of my voice sometimes, especially when I start losing my voice, but I don't have a lot of music that I can play that is actually allowed on YouTube, but this one is. I already forgot if I brought that over. Yeah, I did. Okay, we're good. I'm a little out of it. I have been under the weather, not feeling great, but I wanted to get some work done. I had some hours left in the day, so I figured let's just do this. Okay, AB2, we're going to bring this over to our shadow layer here, shadow folder. Okay, and that should be everything. So we'll hide those, bring up the overlay and all. We're going to save this, and let's test it in the game. Bring up our save file, and let's see how it looks. So I'll just increase the window size so you can see what's happening. Okay, let's go to our estate variable. We'll turn that up so we can skip the intro sequence. And for our debug room, we're going to load room 2. Second letter in the alphabet's B, so that's the configurations we want to load in. Let's leave the hollow keep. Go to the Democo state, pour myself some more tea while it loads. And okay, so this is the first B configuration room that I did. It's a good thing I can walk through walls in the testing mode, otherwise I'd be stuck, because this leads to a wall. But that is our room right there, so let's just go down, and there we go. That is it. That looks good. Okay, yeah, we can step behind there. Yeah, that looks fine. I think that looks good. Yeah, our collision's all set up properly there. That looks normal. Yeah, nothing odd or awkward about that. I like it. I'm realizing there's some things I forgot. Something kind of important, actually. Because without this, the game could crash at any moment. Well, not right now, but it could crash anytime I transition between maps. So let's just fix that right now. It's a very small fix. What's missing out of my collision here? I have the chest spawn point, but I don't have a spawn point for players and monsters. So if I only got these rooms spawning in, there'd be no spawn point for players and monsters, and everything would just not know where to go, and the game would crash. So right now I've got that spawning right here. I think that's good, actually. Because if we get one of the gargoyles that just appears as a statue, it makes sense that it would be in the center of the room on the center of the carpet. So yeah, that should be good. Okay, alright, let's export that one more time. Once again, it's 82. And we'll go back to our ground layer. That's not our ground layer. That's our ground layer. Here it is here. Bring that up. Literally, we changed 1 pixel. But changing that 1 pixel will change everything about how that map works. Okay. I will increase the window size, but first let me just set my variables. 1 there. We'll set the debug room to 2. And then once I'm done this one, I may actually call it a stream. It's going to be a short one, but it's better than nothing. We've already got 2 rooms done. I may do 1 more. Okay, this is our default room. There, and look at that. What do you know? You've got a gargoyle spawning in the center of the room, and that kind of looks like it fits. It looks like it's in place. You may not even recognize it as being an enemy until you get too close, and then it pops out and attacks you. Yeah, I like that. But okay, now we have, at least we know that our enemies are spawning in the right spot on those maps now. Ah, and right over here, you can see our chests are spawning in the right spot too. So I think we got our collision in place. So let's just take a look. How does this room feel? It doesn't actually look like those candles are lit. And I'm wondering if I maybe want to do something to change that. There's a tiny bit of light emanating from them, but there's no visible flame appearing at the end of them. So I may want to make some adjustments to that. I'm not going to worry about it too much right now, though. The rest of the room I think looks good though. And it looks like the overlays are loading in properly. Yeah. Yeah, the shadows and the lighting and the overlays have all loaded in properly. It looks like the collision is correct, but I always want to double check. So let's go back to our debug mode. Go to the next floor and see what shows up there. And here it is here. Okay, that looks good. Yeah. Ooh. No. There's something wrong here. There's something actually very critically wrong here that I wouldn't have caught if I hadn't loaded this up in the debug mode. Here's a question for you. What happens if the exit to this dungeon were to spawn right here? Now, what if you, the player, spawned here, but a chest spawned in this room over here? How would you get to this room? How would you get to that chest? If the exit is here, there's no way around, you'd be stuck. You would not be able to pass beyond this point because the exit is here, you can't walk through it, it's not a passable tile, and there's no way around. That is a problem. So what I need to do is I need to make this tile here passable but non-spawnable for events so that we can't get the exit spawning here. That way we could have the exit spawn here or here or here, but that's fine because you can go around it. But if I have the exit spawn here and there's like a chest or something valuable on the other side and you can't get to it, that's not good. This side is fine because even if the exit spawns here, you can go around. There's an extra tile to use to walk around it. Same with down here, you can walk along the walls, that's fine. It doesn't really matter if the exit spawns here and blocks off this one tile because nothing can spawn here anyway. Same thing with this side here, and we've already got a tile in front of our chest spawnable point so that we know that we'll always have access to that chest. But yeah, I do need to change the collision on this one tile to make sure that nothing can spawn there. Otherwise, we're going to end up in situations where a player could get blocked off. So that is... yeah, I should have seen that honestly earlier. Anywhere where there's just a single... only one way to get out of a blue tile is generally a bad thing. Sometimes there's exceptions like these corners, who cares, it doesn't matter. But that is bad. So we are going to place a blue tile there. We're going to export this one last time. Probably should zoom out, make sure that I actually know what I'm doing. Yeah, okay, we're good. And let's bring that back in, replace it. It's the little details that I think make the biggest difference in game development. The player may not actually know what's wrong with it, but it can sometimes feel wrong if the details are just wrong. It's the little details that sometimes nobody ever pays attention to that make the biggest difference, I find. And that's one thing I do pride myself on a lot as a game developer, is I try to pay attention to even the smallest details, just the tiniest little things, and really getting in to the nitty-gritty, really doing that fine attention to detail to make sure that the player experience is as smooth and as clean as possible. Okay, let's see how that worked this time. Okay, so we are back in our room here. It looks like, yep, we've got our chest spawning. Ooh! That's probably not actually a genuine legendary. No, of course it's not, because shards can't appear in chests. That's still, I'm still in debug mode for that. That's okay. Okay, so everything looks fine. Nothing crashed or anything, which is good. Shouldn't have. It was just literally a 1 pixel change. But let's put on the debug mode so we can see what's going on in the background. Go to the next floor, and let's see what that looks like now. There we go. That's better. Okay, so now we cannot get critical events spawning on this tile. You can still pass through, but now you won't have the exit spawning here, which means that if a player is trying to go through and there's something on the other side, they won't get stuck. Exit could spawn here, but you can now go around. So that's, yeah, that's a lot better. And the rest of the collision seems to be good. Yeah, I like it. Okay. Good. Okay, well that's 2 rooms done. I think I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to call it a night. I still have some tea left, so I might as well actually drink it. Okay, well, that's it for B2. I want to keep checking to this, make sure that I'm not accidentally hiding my screen or muting myself, but I don't think there's too much to worry about. As long as I avoid the numpad, then I'll be avoiding all my hotkeys. Okay, so we've got all of our B rooms configured and our A rooms. Let's do configuration C next. So we'll open up our template. I'm just going to immediately, before I forget to do this, save this as a state C2. And over here, and then once I actually finish this room, you know what? Actually, let's just do this right now, because I haven't shown this yet. That's because it's a little bit more interesting than staring at me doing the same thing over and over and over again. Even though that's kind of what game development is. Let's actually see what this looks like without the unnatural, like forcing specific rooms to generate. Let's see what an actual randomized layout looks like. It's still going to look unfinished because there's a lot of unfinished rooms and they're going to be really empty, but it may give us a better idea of how this all flows together. So yeah, these are all unfinished rooms. I'm just going to ignore you, avoid you, goodbye, thank you. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, that's a little bit nicer. Some nicer generation here. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, I did want to... Oh, really, dude? Come on now. Try to avoid encounters so that we're not engaged in combat too much. I'm mostly just trying to see how the dungeons generate. Yeah, but the combat's actually fun. Got a nice hat. Okay. Okay, that was kind of a pretty terrible floor. There wasn't really a lot of generation happening there. It was mostly unfinished rooms. But that's also to be expected, because most of the rooms are unfinished. I do have one finished configuration for every room type. Wow, this is an entire room of unfinished rooms, entire floor, except for one kitchen. Let's take a look one more time. There we go, this is a little better. Yeah, we got a forge over here next to an armory. No, leave me alone. Yeah, that's nice. The hallways are going to be very standard, very plain and boring. There we go, we got another little study here. Leave me alone. Yeah. Okay, that's a dead end. Let's just walk through walls. Jeepers. Let's open this chest. A nice purple sword. Doesn't matter, we're not saving this. Okay, that's enough. Yeah, I think that'll look good once all the rooms are actually properly decorated and put together nicely. I think that the overall theme is good. I like the enemies that I've put together for that dungeon. I actually just need to get to finishing the maps themselves. Right now it's all placeholder, which, I mean, is better than nothing, but yeah, placeholder doesn't cut it. Oh, okay. I'm actually... Oh, I'm not gonna lie, I'm fading fast. I don't know if I have enough in me to do one more room, but I still have half a pot of tea, so I might as well. Okay, let's just do this. Enough procrastinating. Okay, yeah, let's do a C configuration. What room do we want to do for this one? We've done 2 storage rooms. We've now also done 2 studies. I did it again, didn't I? Yep. I cannot be touching my numpad for that. I gotta figure out a way to set up different configurations for different streaming channels. Okay, so we've got, yeah, 2 hallways, 2 storage rooms, 2 studies. We could do a library, but we kind of just did that. I don't know, what do we want for this layout of a room? We only have one armory. Let's do an armory. So when I think armory, I think like a place you go to get armed. There should be lots of like armor and weapons and different kind of stuff like that lying around. So let's start with the typical dodge and burn. Select, shrink, feather, dodge, disable grid collision, and apply our texturing. There we go. Looks good. Okay. Next up, let's see armaments. I'm going to bring that category up. Yeah, I think that might be everything I need for that category. The forge category might be helpful as well. Okay, let's see what we've got for armaments. We've got shields, okay. We could have some things hanging on the walls, but I kind of want to have some stuff on tables as well. Those look like armor stands. That looks like wall hangings. That looks like it would belong on a table. Okay, so yeah, let's bring up the shields first. And let's kind of have these hanging on the wall. I have one here. We'll actually do it this way. That doesn't look terribly safe for work. Let's and now one's bigger than the other. Okay. Okay. Focus your brain here, Strack. Yeah, okay. Let's have some shields hanging on the wall and a... You know what, actually, yeah, let's bring up a fancy one. Except that's more like decoration. That's something you put on your mantle. Where did it just go? And that works. That's more of a decoration than any actual like armament that you would equip, though. It works, so it's fine. I'm not going to overthink that too much. Okay, so we've got some armor stands. Let's bring these in as well. And actually, yeah, I'll have these flanking the entryway. And then I will actually get rid of that one. I don't think I need that. Shield, I'll shuffle back over. Not that one. There's some more armor stands here. And again, I'll kind of have them flanking the entryway. Like that. Okay, now, as far as actual armor goes, here, we'll have a couple stands of armor that could be used for, like, actually equipping, not just for decoration. We'll put up some tables as well that we can maybe put some swords down on, or some helmets and stuff. Now, let's see, there we go, that's what I'm looking for. We got like some swords or daggers or something that we could kind of hang on the wall over here. Just like that. I actually think this is where I want that forge. Maybe. No, that's not quite what I'm looking for. No. Okay. Yeah, we got swords and helmets there. There is absolutely something that I'm missing, and I can't think of what it is. Would it be... not dungeon? No, that's like skulls and pallets and stuff. Treasure, maybe? No, that's all just like gold and loot and stuff. I wonder if it's under wall art. No, that's banners and paintings. I could have sworn I had an asset that was like these crossed, curved swords, like these scimitars that were crossed that you could hang on the wall. That would look so much better than just those daggers, those little short swords. I'm not sure where they are. Oh my gosh, my throat. Okay. You know what? That's fine. That's honestly fine. I am going to bring these up because I'm going to need that. I'm going to bring them into the decor file, but I'm not going to folder, but I'm not going to actually position them just yet because I need some tables. So, let's see. Let's go to shelving. I think that's what it is. Yeah, that's where we've got our tables. There we go. Okay, we'll bring this one in here. Shuffle that down a bit. And let's see. Cinch that down like that. Yeah. That way you can pass behind it or in front. I will move these, you know, actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 2 tables side by side, like that. And I may do a 4th armor stand, but I'm also going to do a little bit of shading and texturing on these to make them a little bit distinguished from each other. There, just so that they don't look completely identical. And like the closer it gets to the center of the room, the more it looks like the lighting is kind of hitting the one that's more exposed. Okay, now the swords, let's see. We'll do a pair of these here. Those are swords, right? And we'll do kind of like 2 of those like that. And then we'll bring these helmets down, rest those on this table. And then I will also bring in... Oh, jeez, okay. There's something... Yeah, that'll work. Bring this in and set that down on that table like that. That looks good. Nice, okay. Now, we need a bit of lighting, so let's bring in our floor torch, and we'll put that over in this corner here, because we got these swords on that wall. We don't necessarily want to clutter things up too much. Actually, I'm going to move this down here. And bump it up a few pixels. There we go. Just make it fill the space a bit. You know what? I'm going to get rid of that one. But I'm going to bring in the last lighting one, the table lighting. Come on, get in the folder. There we go. And we're going to bring that down here, and we're just going to set that candle on the table there, and then we can actually have some central lighting as well. That's good. Not done yet, though. I would like to fill the space a little bit more. It'd be nice if there was like a... You know, let's add some seating. Not these comfy couches that you would see in a study, though, but more like these wooden benches. There we go. That looks good. We'll bring that in, and we'll maybe set that down here. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That should be right up against the wall, though I don't know why it isn't. So we'll do that, but I'm just going to have to get rid of the shadow that overlaps the wall. There we go. Good. How does that look? No, that looks good. Okay, and the last thing I can think of is it'd be nice if there's like a carpet of some kind. Nothing fancy. This'll do. And we'll bring that in here. And let's set that, actually, we'll set 2 of these carpets side by side like that in front of the tables, between the tables and the armor stands. That looks good. Yeah, just a basic little kind of pass-through armory. You've got some basic equipment, nothing super fancy. I think we need some storage, though, as well, like some crates or something where it's like... Because this is kind of pathetic for an armory, but it'd make more sense if, like, oh, we've got more swords stashed away or something in the crates over in the corner there or something like that. So let's bring in some crates. Nice big box like that will do. I'll kind of tuck them in the corner behind the armor stands. I'm going to have to adjust the priorities of those. Yep, there's one there. And we'll actually just do a couple of those, and the way we'll do it is like that. And then I'll bring in just something small, a little, not a little urn, that doesn't really make sense. Something like that, yeah, you know, we can maybe, a tiny little barrel, maybe containing some, more, smaller pieces of equipment, medicines, or, oil for flammable reagents and things like that, you know, just something small, nothing extravagant, but enough to fill the space so that we can make that believably impassable. And I think that's good. Okay, good. So, let's not spend too much more time on this. I think what we'll do is we'll make this spot right in the corner the spawn point for our chest, because that space is a little bit unfilled, at least as far as the floor space goes. But if a chest were to spawn in there, that would fill the space nicely. So, here's what we'll do. We'll go... Let's set our collision first, actually. So, first off, the left side is completely blocked off. There's no exit there. And now we can do the rest. So, flanking the exit, we have 1, 2. And we're going to need to extend our impassable non-spawnable by 1 so that we don't get the exit spawning in front. Don't want to make the same mistake we did last time. We're going to set the chest spawn point to be right in the corner. Nothing we need to really worry about here, except, I'll get to this, starting from the second row down in this room, we have 3 impassable tiles. Okay, I'm going to do this kind of by the perimeter. So I've got 3 impassable tiles, then the entrance to the hallway, which I need to extend out by 1, then 3 more impassable tiles. Yeah, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but I need to extend this out by 1. There we go. And then over here, third one down, I've got 4 across. Oh, I'm starting to fade. I need to call it a stream here soon. But yeah, so I've got 4 impassable tiles across. From the third down, 4 passable non-spawnable because the table legs overlap with that tile, and that would look weird if the exit spawned there. And I've got 2 rows of that, followed by another 4 impassable tiles. Okay, so third one down, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right? Yeah, it is. Okay. And then I've got 2 more rows of impassable non-spawnable, followed by 4 more impassable. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I think I need to make at least these 2 impassable non-spawnable, because if the exit spawns here and a chest spawns here, how would you get to the chest? I've got to make it so this can't be permanently impassable by having an exit spawn there. I could have the exit spawn here, that'd be fine, but I can't have it appear here or here. So, those 2. Same thing with this little wedge here. Let's say I have a useful item spawn here, but the exit spawns here, you'd never be able to get to it. So I could do that. I think I can leave 1 though. Nope. Yes. Yes. Because yeah, now nothing can spawn here. but something could spawn here. So the exit could spawn here, but if it does, it's not really a big deal it's blocking this tile because nothing can spawn here anyway. You're never going to get access blocked to something that you don't... Yeah, no, that's good. Anything else? Yeah, I didn't finish the rest here. The bottom corner here has a torch. So the tile above it is non-spawnable, and the tile that it's resting on is impassable. So one there, and that should be good. Quite a bit more detail to the collision in this map, but that's okay. Now, where do we want our players and enemies to be spawning? Maybe right here? That feels right. Yeah, that feels right. We'll have our enemies spawn right here. Let me just think. Oh, my brain is fried, man. Alright, we're gonna call it a stream here soon. So that is third from the bottom, third from the right. Hold on, that doesn't seem right. It is right, it's just I need to make sure I do it properly. There, that's the spot right there. Yeah, in the same row as the fully passable tiles on both sides. That's probably why it feels right, is because that's... Whoops. That... Oh, yeah, actually, let's just draw that. That is the most accessible row and column of that entire room. So it makes sense that the intersection of that is where the monster or player could spawn. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That feels right. Okay. Okay, well, we got our collision set up. We've got our map looking good here. I haven't done the overlay. Let's fix that. So, let's start with the room. I think that's it, yeah, okay. Copy-paste that, we'll bring that in. Those are the carpets. Let's see. Here's what I'm going to do. 1, 2, 3, there we go. Instead of cutting and pasting every single layer, just cut and paste the entire row. Bring that in. Okay, this one I don't need to worry about because there's stuff blocking where it would be overlaid. But this one I need to worry about, so I'm going to cut this, paste that, and bring it in to the overlay. So far that looks good. Okay. There's no overlap on that one, is there? Nope. I was careful to align that pixel perfect. No, that looks good. Okay. Now it's just the torch. And I can actually just delete the bottom and bring that straight into the overlay, because I don't need to, yeah. Good, okay, so our overlay is done. Light. Let's bring our light layer in. We'll line that over the torch, and this one over the candles there. Bring those in. Merge them together, and we're gonna trim where it's overlapping the roof tiles. Good, that looks good. Now for our shadow. 1, 3, 4, 5, not a huge difference there because there's some central lighting just in general, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that looks good. Okay, and when that renders in, that should look good. So, I think we're good. We've got that saved as C2, so let's just save that. Okay, we'll bring this last map in. Test it out, and then I'm going to bed, because my throat is killing me, and I've got a class to teach in the morning, so. Okay, let's see how this works. We'll export this as AC2. See, I'm getting back into the groove of it now. I figured out what systems I had in place for this before, and yeah, I feel like I'm starting to get the hang of this again. So AC2, there we go, replace. That's a good sign. That means we're working in the right folders. Hide the base layer. We can hide the collision now. AC2. Export the overlay. Yep, we're working the overlay folder, that's good. Let's go with the light layer next. Hide the overlay, show the light. AC2. Honestly, I'm so proud of this system. Like, as soon as I figured out how I could actually make procedural generation work with image files, it's like, this is the coolest freaking thing I've ever made in RPG Maker. So I'm really happy with how it's turned out, but it is a lot of work, and it's not something that I can outsource, because there's a lot of attention to detail that goes into it. There's a lot of inner understanding of the workings of how the system works to make sure everything lines up properly. Like, it is very much work that I need to do on my own. But I'm happy with the results, so it doesn't matter. This is a passion project anyway. I wouldn't want to outsource it even if I could. Okay, let's test this out. So we'll crank up the window size so you can see what's happening. Go back to our variables, crank up the estate variable so we skip the intro. Set the debug room to C, third letter in the alphabet. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to turn the debug menu on, and I'm just going to do this. I'm going to open and close a chest. Good. Now my character's a max level. And I'm going to turn auto kill. Yeah, auto kill is on. Now we don't have to worry about encounters. Okay, let's see how this works. Damaco state. Should generate the third room configuration. Configuration C. Let's see how it works. Yeah, here we are. Okay. So yeah, this is the first one, and that's our second one over there. Give me a second while I sip my tea. Okay, let's just cut across. There we go. Yeah, now that we have auto kill on, we'll ignore all encounters. Okay, that looks good. It looks like the overlays are correct. Yeah, the overlays appear to be correct. Nothing weird about that. That's good. Let's see if we can find one with the chest. Gotta be one. Or maybe not. Okay, well, let's bring up our debug mode so we can actually see what's going on behind the scenes and make sure that it is working properly here. Okay. Yeah, that looks right. Yeah, we've got our chest spawn point here. We've got our player spawn point here. This is all passable but non-spawnable. Yeah, nothing's blocked off to where you wouldn't be able to access... Ah! Dang it, I did it again. What happens if an exit spawns here? If you're coming through this room and an exit spawns here, how would you get to the other side of the room? I need to make this tile blue. And if I make this tile blue, I need to make this tile blue. And then the exit can spawn here, and that's fine. But if I had the exit spawn here, and there was a useful item here... Why is my brain not clicking right now? Well, that would probably be a bad thing if it was. Your brain isn't supposed to click. I think that's all I need to change. Yeah, I think that's all I need to change. Yeah, make it so this tile is blue and this tile is blue, so that if, say, an exit spawns here and a useful item is here, you can still access it, it's not going to be blocked off. And if the exit spawns here and you're coming through here, you can still get through. Okay, let's fix that real quick. That's an easy change. Show our collision, overlay, and base. Go back to our collision and pencil tool. Blue there, blue there. that should be it. So let's just export that, AC2. Good, save it. Bring that back. Yeah, it's the ground layers, that's good. Into file C. Okay, now let's test. Again, it's the little details. Okay, crank up the window size. Set the debug room to C. We're going to set the state variable up so we skip the intro sequence. Let's turn on the debug mode right now, and I'll just leave it on. I'm just going to open this chest and close it so that we get to max level. Auto kill is already on, so we don't have to worry about that. Back to the Damaco state, and let's see how this works. Here we go. Here's our room. Oh, perfect. This is a perfect example of what I needed. Okay. So yeah, now the exit can't spawn here. So if it spawns here, that's fine, because you can still get around. Same thing if it spawns here, you can still get around. So that tile being impassable and non-spawnable is good. Nothing can spawn up here, so that if the exit spawns here, you won't be blocked off from anything you don't need. Yeah, the exit is spawning in sensible spots. It's not just spawning anywhere. We've got a chest spawning in the corner. That's great. No, that is good. I think our collision makes sense here. I don't see anywhere else. Okay, the only other place where I could potentially see a problem... Actually, nope, never mind. I was going to say right here, if the exit spawns here and there's a useful item, but you can step behind the torch, so that's fine. Yeah, you're not going to get blocked off there. Nope, that's good. Okay, so let's just try that again without the debug mode, and we'll see how that looks one more time without the colored tiles. And see if we can find a chest spawning in one of these rooms. Just to see how it looks like without the debug mode on. There's only 2 configurations that can possibly spawn, so it shouldn't take long to find one of them with a chest in it. Here we go. Perfect. There we go. Okay, so actually taking a look at this, how does this look? A little silly, I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of weird that this would just be an armory that you could access from 3 different entry points. But again, I'm not trying not to overthink it. It works. As far as the actual functionality of the room goes, it works. And I like that chest being in this corner. It's accessible, but it's not obtrusive. It's out of the way, but it's very accessible. No, that's good. I like it. No, that's a good room. Okay, well, I think that's gonna do it for the stream. That's, yeah, we got 3 rooms done, and I am dead tired. I'm exhausted. I've been sick for 3-4 days. I've gotta teach a bunch of kids tomorrow, so that's gonna be fun. But there's literally nobody else that can do it, so I am up to the task. I'm a martial arts instructor in my spare time, so yeah, load up on antibiotics and just get some sleep and see how we can do that. But I think that's going to do it for the stream. I'm going to bring up my weight screen from Hades 2, because I don't have another one set up for the for my game dev streams. So yeah, that'll do it for the game dev stream. I honestly, I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. Anytime I've got a couple hours free and I don't know what else to do, I'm just going to boot up the stream and I'm going to start doing some game dev. It could be mapping, it could be scripting, it could be event processing and cutscenes. It could be whatever. But I'm going to be doing a lot more of these because this one stream is more productivity than I've done in the last 6 months on this game. Which is kind of sad. But that's also why I'm doing this, is to be more productive. So, keep an eye out for more. And yeah, I think that's gonna do it for now. So thanks for tuning in. If you chose to tune in, I see there's a couple viewers, so I appreciate you being here. I really do. I appreciate it. And if you watch the VOD, then thanks for tuning into the VOD. But that'll do it for now, and I'll catch you next time.